lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
When Watkins Glen ran into financial trouble in the 80s, one of the first major racing series to return to this legendary track was NASCAR. An unlikely partner at a place once known for hosting Formula One, it blossomed into one of the most popular races of the year. Remaining as one of the rare road course races on the NASCAR Cup schedule, the Glen tends to produce thrillers season after season. Will the pack majors manage to recapture that same excitement? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the iAnalyze 355 at the Glen, round 10 of the Pacific Majors, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight are Bill Soup Zahn and Never Say Die Dawson Brock. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Dawson, this track certainly seems to have turned itself around since it closed between 81 and 84. What's it like today?
Well, this track, located in Watkins Glen, New York, at the southern tip of Seneca Lake, initially was made by public roads in the village were used. 1956, a permanent circuit was finally opened. Except for a few changes, the circuit's current layout has more or less been the same since 1971, with the most notable alteration, the bus stop just before turn 5. The track's history isn't limited to just racing. The circuit has also been the site for many music concerts, including the 1973 Summer Jam. But today it's about racing, where drivers will need to negotiate 8 turns over 2.5 miles of asphalt and concrete. But the best way to get an idea of what it is like today is to go around in place, is to jump on board the GSRC Cup car and take a lap.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Global Sim.
Apologies for the technical difficulties. We'll get the proper lap here in a second. Checking with our director, see if we should just move over to the championship. Yes, we'll come back to that in a second. So, Bill, you've got our points update a little bit earlier than usual, but what are we looking at now after an interesting last round?
I am prepared, and we got a lot to go through, so we're going to keep the director busy as he flips through all these overlays while he's trying to call up the right video here for us. We're going to start with the Mario Andretti Championship. Lionel Callisto was first as he was leading the championship there. First time leading ever on the chart there. Second, even though he finished second the last 2 years. Brian Bennett might be Little Train's biggest challenge as he sits in fourth. Now, my booth partner, Never Say Die, Dawson Brock, knows about the Grizzly Gang, having raced against them in the WSU League. Watkins Glen is right in Joshua Hallen's Wolf's wheelhouse, along with Varun Borowski as well. But the rest of the season could be a challenge for those guys. With all those green arrows pointing up, someone's got to be missing off the overlay right, and right you are. It's the last round's point leader. That's Blake Reynolds with 3 missed races already. It's going to be really hard for Reynolds to wrap up the championship, but don't feel bad for him. He is the favorite big time here today. And now it looks like our director is good with the video guide. So why don't we go to that before we go through the rest of these overlays?
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC Chevy SS, so let's do a lap around Watkins Glen. Coming down to turn 1, this is a great place to try to make a pass. Just be careful not to overshoot it. The downhill braking zone is going to make it easy to come in too hot, but you do have a lot of paved runoff to save you. From there, you start to climb the S's, where you'll have to carefully balance the throttle while trying to carry your speed as much as possible. Getting a good run out of the last right-hander of this set will be critical to both attack and defense. And as you fly down the high-speed backstretch, you'll see why. You gotta whoa up the car for the inner loop, which is a popular overtaking spot. But be wary of trying to go through there too wide, because that can wind up in disaster in a hurry. After that, it's easy for the car to come around as you transition into the carousel now. Amjad did a good job of holding on to it, but this nearly 180-degree corner almost requires you to drive it like an oval with its banking. The main thing to focus on is getting the launch off of there, because you've got another long stretch up to Indianapolis. The braking into this penultimate corner is going to be your last best place to try to pass someone. But this left-hander is deceptively quick. There's a groove at the bottom of the banking you need to make sure and get your car into. Then, real quick, switch sides to set up for the final turn. Once again, tuck it right up to that curbing on the inside, and make sure not to slide off into the tires to your left. Get the power down as soon as you've got some grip, and you've finished your lap around Watkins Glen.
There we go with a lap now here around Watkins Glen Cup course. And let's get back to those points, though, because, Bill, you've got a couple more to update us on before we get to the racing.
We did the drivers, so let's go ahead and look at the Constructors' Championship now. Now, Grizzly Motorsports, they have 3 drivers starting in the top 13 today. Look for them to make up ground on the top 2 teams. Richie Hearn, who is 5th in the points, is missing this race so for Elite West, and Jason Fleischle missing for Alliance. Let's go to the Sportsman's Championship, where Trevor Clement, it's really his to lose. Mark Herzog and Dee Palmer swapped those last 2 podium spots. Over to the Legends, where you have 4 drivers all within 50 points. You got Bennett, Barnes, Beltrami, and Hutchinson. That's going to be a close one to watch out for. We're going to follow that as we go along. Now let's go to the Governor's Cup. Now, I've been told I don't need to cover this one, that no one really cares. My middle name is Joe Public. I've got my finger on the pulse of the great unwashed, and they want, no, they need to know these numbers. Now, sure enough, Northwest continues to be the dynasty, but less than 100 points separates the West, California, and Texas, with Canada and Great Plains wrapping up the overlay. Let's go over and look at the club leaders. Brian Barnes has never lost the Bigfoot title, but those darn Grizzly guys keep showing up like Sasquatch in the National Enquirer, and sure enough, there he is again, Joshua Howland Wolf at the top. Reynolds should be able to hang on for Texas to get that crown. In the West, Richie Hearns is not at the Glen, so it's going to be a shootout at the OK Corral to see what happens there the rest of the way. With a name like Claude Vival, it seems only right that he is first in line for the Dudley Do-Right Trophy, and Matthew Fun Thunhurst leads in the Great Plains. Joe?
Thanks, Bill, for that update on the various championships that they have here in this series. Now, Dawson, I know you've done quite a bit of racing in the Cup car. Of course, I know your focus is mostly on oval, but I'm sure with most of the NASCAR series taking a stop here, you've done some races. Where do you expect a lot of the passes to be attempted around this course in these cars?
Well, I think with this Cup car, it's really going to be in the braking zones. I think look for them long straightaways on that front stretch going into turn 1. If you can get under somebody, you can get a good exit out of turn 11, as I'm told to say 11, but it's actually 8. Depends on how you look at it. But if you get a good run onto that front stretch, if you can get underneath somebody into turn 1, that should be a good spot. Bus stop, you really don't want to. That's typically, it's a lot safer to go single file through there. If you get a good carousel, that could be another great passing part. But one of my favorites it would be turn 7. Turn 7 can, if you get through there right, can really set you up for a great front stretch. So those are kind of the areas where I'll be looking for passes tonight.
And I would concur on that one from my experience in other cars around here with this type of layout. Bill, one of the talking points seems to be the tires around here instead of the fuel in these cars. What kind of race are we looking at exactly?
Yeah, I think the last 10 laps of any fuel run it's going to be tough. Now, there are going to be no yellow flags here, so this is going to be a case of the point of diminishing returns, where your lap speed goes down, but you have to stop for that extra stop. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to go long. So I guess it really depends. I love it because there are going to be no yellow flags where the people can wait to say, okay, we're all going to come in. So I really think it's going to be a matter of individual taste, and maybe this might be a case of the tortoise and the hare, where the guys that can go a little slower earlier might have a little bit left and can go longer runs. So we'll see how it plays out.
On screen, we see Paul Slavonic for one of the Alliance teams. Now, the main Alliance team that's up in the championship hunt only has 2 drivers here today, so could find themselves a bit under the gun in trying to make a good point-scoring day for themselves. So we watch Thomas Lovelady for Elite West work his way around one of the better teams out here. Of course, they don't have Richie Hearn. I'm sorry, Bill. They don't have your favorite out here to run on the road course in these Cup cars. Now, one interesting thing is they do have an incident limit here today. This is new for this series, new for the Pack Majors at this race. It's the first time an incident limit has been used. And Dawson, I have to imagine even though the walls are pretty close around here, there's got to be a few places where it's a bit dangerous to get the wheels off and start racking up those incident points.
Yeah, I think one of the more common places, just the little bit that I've seen, that last turn, that little bit out of the bus stop, a lot of guys like to kind of cut that corner getting into the carousel, and I think that's a place where you can easily rack up quite a few incident points. But these guys should be spread out enough to where car contact shouldn't be a problem. Maybe you'll get off of, like I said before, turn 6 or 7, turn 7. We'll stick with that. That's another one where you can run wide, and it's not, as long as you can keep just the 2 tires in the grass, not 4. If you get 4, then you're going to really be off pace. But yeah, you can rack up some incidents here. And with 30 limit of 30, should be really interesting to see how this plays out.
When you talk about turn 7, you mean the second to last left-hander, right?
Yeah.
I've actually heard that one called Indianapolis, and that's what I've been calling it over the years, although some have refuted that, but I can't point to the source. I just know that I've heard it been referred to as Indianapolis, and it's so much easier for me to pick out that specific one when going on numbers around here. Now, Bill, we've got a few minutes left, and I dare give you a little bit of free rein here, but there's a corner per incident license that they are planning on introducing next season in the Pacific Majors. And we were told by the organizer, Mike Willett, to talk all about it we want here. And you are our Robin Miller of our team here. You're opinionated and you love to speculate. So what are your feelings on introducing
Joe,
that?
I'm not up. Tell me about the corner per incident. I missed it in the notes.
There
and then I will give you my opinion.
This is our good chance to introduce the viewers as well. So basically what they're doing is the PAC majors are going to start keeping track this year of the how many incidents you have over the course of a race, over the course of the full season, and then equate that according to corners, much like iRacing does.
Yeah, that sounds great. We used to do a similar thing like they still do. They do miles per incident in the MWT.
Well, here's where it gets interesting, though, Bill. The way that they're using it for the pro splits, they're thinking instead of doing it just by qualifying, you need to meet a certain safety rating that's going to be specific to the Pacific Majors. It's not going to be iRacing's safety rating. It's going to be just a Pacific Majors one. And if you have a safe enough safety rating, you can get into the pro split. But if you're not good enough in that terms, then you are put in the AM split. So,
all right, I did read about this. Thanks, Joe, for reminding me. I remember. Now I do have an opinion. Sorry, I got so many series to cover. Mike Willett is a groundbreaker. This is a ingenious idea because now what it basically does, it takes away the random hot shoe from coming in. Not only do you have to be fast, but now you also have to be clean, and I think that's really great. I also love the incident cap coming in, and Lord only can hope, and I hope Mike's listening to me. We hate to criticize the series, but Lord only hopes that the fast repair is maybe on its last legs. That's the rumor I'm hearing.
What I've heard from his talk, it sounds like he's not getting rid of it any day soon. We'll see. Yeah, I know. I'm with you. I'd like to see it go, but there's a lot of drivers that are actually in favor of the fast repair.
Well, here's why. I can quickly. They put in so much practice time. It's an injustice to make them practice for as long as they need to do to qualify, and then have them taken out the first half lap. So I get where they're coming from.
As we come down to 1 minute to go, Dawson, I'm going to come back to you. Now, we brought you on because you have a lot of experience in these Cup cars, but this is a bit of a weird animal for the Pacific Majors. They go back and forth between oval and road racing. Do you feel like any of the oval guys have a leg up with their familiarity with this car here today, or do you think it's still going to be alien territory for them?
Well, I mean, I think the oval guys have an upside of this car. This car is not like any other road car you're going to find. It's got a lot of horsepower, not a lot of downforce, really narrow tires. It's completely different, and I think in a way, not even the oval guys are used to it, so it's a level playing field to where we will see. I don't think it's going to favor either side too much in either way. I think it's strictly a kind of a thing in its own. Maybe V8 supercar, maybe that's what it's like. It's just crazy, and I think, but I'm going to go with oval guys over road guys because they know how to set this thing up, and that's a big part of where you're going to get your speed and your long distance speed.
Well, that'll be certainly fascinating to watch. I think that's a good comparison, actually, the V8 supercar, as we had a V8 supercar driver in the real world come over and race NASCAR for a brief while. Ambrose.
And won
Ambrose,
here.
yep.
I think a couple wins at Watkins Glen. So, yeah, it's a great comparison.
All right, the grid is up, so let's bring you the starting order. Blake Reynolds had a dominant qualifying time. He's going to be on the front row along with Trevor Vavrovsky from that Grizzly team. Mitchell Cornett will be starting in third. Rounding out row 2, it's Paul Slavonic. Brian Bennett will be in the top 5 with Clark Archer starting in 6th. Lionel Kalisto leads the championship, but he's starting well back in 7th. Can he climb his way up the order to try and beat Reynolds today? We'll see. Josh Wolf will be starting 8th with Rob Gall in 9th. And then rounding out the top 10, Dawson, it's going to be Trevor Clement.
Starting in the 11th spot, Brian Grandin. And then 12th, outside of him, Chris Pence. Then another one of the Grizzly drivers, Travis Henderson, starting 13th. Michael Thompson, Wayne Hutchinson to round out the top 15. Claude Belval in 16th. Chad Barker, 17th. Brandon Trostel, 18th. Matthew Thunhorst, 19th, and to round out the top 20, Ray Partridge.
Hitting blackjack is Mike Franklin in the double duck spot. Brian Barnes, Mark Herzog, and Thomas Lovelady make up the next row. Jared Morgan and Bob Salami Beltrami. They got the long meat involved in that one. They sit in 25th and 26th. William Fletcher and Mike Taylor fill up the next row. The last 3 drivers here today, Adam Young, Dee Palmer, and David Baker.
Now, we were talking to Adam before we went to air here about his thoughts on this race. He was actually a little bit disappointed to be in the pro split. He was hoping he'd be at the top of the field in the AM split. Lo and behold, he finds himself running right near the tail. Here's hoping that he can make something of that and climb his way up the order for that Ride and Shotgun Motorsports team as we ride on board with the Roof Pace Car.
Joe, you talked about the different splits. They do have 2 splits. There are less points in the AM split as there are in the pro split that we have here on GSRC. So even though he might not finish as well, good chance he can score just as many.
We'll have to wait and see. We've got about half a lap to go here with the pace lap. Then we go green for 90 laps here around Watkins Glen for round 10 of the iAnalyze 355 for the Pacific Majors. Bill, I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be.
Blake Reynolds and Blake Reynolds.
All right, let's go to Dawson. Dawson, who's your pick for today?
Well, I can't pick Blake, so I'm going to go with Josh. He told me I'd better pick him, and he loves this track, so I'll take that. His car, if you see, it's Little League sponsored, a Little League team of his hometown team.
Did you not warn him of the commentator's curse here on GSRC of who you picked to win?
See, he's talked about that, but he was totally okay with me picking him, so...
All right. His funeral.
His poison. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Coming up to Indianapolis here, the penultimate corner, then the pace car will peel off. Banked turn, a lot of banking, got to get down into that groove through there, very difficult to go too wide. And then an almost street course-like final corner. One final turn for the pace car. Early entry into this pit that could make it difficult for some drivers. But as he peels away, immediately a jump for Blake Reynolds. And wow, the front row stretches away from second place right away. Down into the 90, bit of 3 wide there for 4th place. They managed to sort themselves out. A lot of runoff on the outside of that first corner. Most everybody been able to get themselves stretched out, and it looks like it's clean, Bill.
Yeah, really good in the back half of the field, doing very well too. So they negotiate 2 wide. Now they get single file going up the Climate S's.
There was some worry about an accident coming up through this S's causing a blockage, but right now everybody looking pretty clean as the inner loop hit for the first time by Blake Reynolds, followed by Trevor Vavrovsky. Paul Slavonic with a great run here up today in 3rd. The author looking at a podium potentially if he can hold that down, followed by Cornett in 4th and Archer rounding out the top 5.
Everybody through the bus stop clean. We're all still out there.
Yeah, everything looking very single file to start. They're all going to take time. Long race here, 90 laps.
Showing some patience, which is good to see here in the Pacific Majors. There have been a little complaints about the quality of driving lately. That's part of why they've announced that that new quarter per incident system that they plan to implement next year.
Well, coming off the dirt, I don't think that put everybody in a bad mood.
Absolutely. Certainly caused a lot of talking points about how they want to run the dirt next year. Good to see things are getting kicked off here pretty well as Archer starts to stretch away from Bennett a little bit, and he's falling back into the clutches of Kalisto.
Yeah, Alliance guys running 1-2 right there.
Bennett a little bit under threat, but Kalisto does not pop out as they all break an accordion together for that inner loop. Everybody managing to navigate that one cleanly, but quite a train going on there behind the car of Slavonic in third.
You know, you talked about Kalisto, Joe. I was shocked to find out that he had never, ever led the Pac Majors before. With all the success that he has had, he'd be up there one time.
Well, a fun story about that, Bill. That's why he has the number 2 on his car.
Oh.
He's finished second so many times, he just adopted it.
That's not good.
Well, you know, better to embrace it, I suppose.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it seems to be working out for him, leading the points. He's
had one of his best seasons. Yeah, I'd agree with you. Maybe this is what's going to take the monkey off of his back, taking that number on. I tell you what, Mitchell Cornett, though, has Clark Archer all over the back of him, but they're heading up through the S's, which is mostly single file through here. He's going to have to wait for the inner loop.
We'll have to see. I'm pretty sure he'll wait until after. Yep, Archer's going to not push the envelope here too quick.
It looked like he got a little squirrely coming up the hill, lost traction, and didn't stay right on that rear spoiler. Is the aero wash pretty effective around here, or is it a non-concern in these cars?
I mean, not really anywhere else, but the S's are just tough in general because you have to, if you don't let off right, you're gonna, it kind of looks like aero wash, and a little bit of it is, but this low downforce, there's not much to go with it anyway.
Ooh, Brian Bennett gets right on top of Archer there as they come together under braking for Indianapolis. He is riding extremely close on the back of that number 29. Now he starts to drop away a little bit.
And right here, this front stretch would be a great opportunity to pass, but it looks like nobody can get that run out of the final corner.
These cars still very close together. Go ahead, Bill.
This really is the best battle on the track right now with this about a 6-car train here led by, I guess, Cornett really up in fourth.
We had a pass. That was Rob Gall on Travis Henderson. Henderson outbraked himself in the 90. Wonder if we can get a replay on that.
And Gall has left him behind since he made this pass.
Yeah, very simple move for the 31. There you can see, thankful for that paved runoff. Just clips the dirt a little bit and returns to the racing line.
Now, there's a fine line right there coming out of that cement where you may or may not get that off track. That's a big part with this incident cap.
With 90 laps, that means they can do about 1 incident every 3 laps. Any more than that on average, and you're going to be disqualified. So right on board with Thompson. Now I'm trying to figure out who he's got on his hood here for Elite West. Oh, is that his own picture?
Yeah, that's what they do. They slap themselves on there. They're a bit of a self-promotion for that team.
I guess inspired by Valentino Rossi. I have discovered that a number of the drivers in Pacific Majors are actually MotoGP fans, it sounds like. So that's pretty cool. Jumping back to Lovelady a little bit farther back in the pack. You can see his face on the hood. He's trying to chase down Mike Franklin of one of their rivals riding shotgun. Stays close, but can't quite get the run off the final bit of the S's. He's not going to get a chance as they hit the inner loop one more time here.
For you scoring at home, or if you're just watching alone, let me give you a lap time here. 1 minute, 11 seconds, 0.5. That was the best lap by Blake Reynolds when he set that. And that was on lap 2. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see how that time goes down as the tires start to wear out. 11.5.
He's pulled a little bit of a gap. He's about 3 seconds over Vavrovsky, but there's not a lot happening up at the front with that ride and shotgun machine. Most of our action is definitely in the mid-pack.
Now, if I'm right from what I've been told... Oh, we got to move Lionel Kalisto in the wall!
Championship leader, and I think that was Josh Wolf who got into it.
Yeah, it was the Wolf got him, or actually
Looked like maybe a bit of a glitch with the way that Kalisto's car spun too. Like maybe the front of it grabbed the Armco here. Watch this. Just a strange spin. Let's watch from onboard Wolf and see what his view is.
it's going to have a lot of Kalisto's tail end in his windshield here is what he's going to see.
Those I kept watching those cars, Bill, and they were getting closer and closer, and I think Wolf found the limit.
I mean, when you're driving these cars, it's really easy to get that front tire lockup, and if you get that front tire lockup...
Thomas Lovelady, sorry to interrupt, has had big problems. He's got a damaged engine. It is smoking. We're going to see on the replay, this is into the inner loop.
Oh, I think it might... Now, did he get into Baker? Chad Baker? No, Baker spun right in front. It's Barker.
Yeah, Chad Barker had some problems, clipped the inside wall as he got loose with a car that was trying to get to his inside. That was an overtake from, it looks like, Mike Franklin.
Update on the points leader. Kalisto now on pit road, looking probably to get that quick repair.
Oof, that's not going to be good. Well out of sync as well on the pit stops, Bill.
Yeah, I was. It looks like Lovelady's really struggling as he brings that smoking car around. Yeah, I was hoping Kalisto, he dropped down to 17th. I thought he might have the pace to go a little longer. I don't know how the window's right. If it's 30 laps, maybe he is in the window right now.
His car does not look repaired, I don't think. If I'm seeing that right on our cameras, he's not taking a quick repair. So he's gotten 4 tires, and he's just staying stationary, letting the repairs happen. This is going to put him well down the order. In fact, he's going a lap down right now.
We've seen him come from behind many times, but not in this situation. Dawson, where there's no yellow flags to help him out.
Yeah, I think it could have been when he got sideways there, he slid his tires. I'm thinking he didn't like his tires for that little bit of the rest of the lap.
Bill, I don't know if you have stats on this, but has Kalisto missed any races so far?
No, I don't believe so. I think he's perfect.
This could be a drop week for him then.
Lovelady's back out.
So Lovelady has taken his free repair, almost had to if he wanted to continue in this race. We saw on screen a little bit ago that was our leader Reynolds leading Vovroski, now up to nearly 5.5 seconds. Behind him, things are spreading out as Vovroski is getting away from Slavonic, who still isn't fully away from Cornette, but isn't under threat as at the moment.
At 4th, 5th, and 6th, we still have a little bit of a train. It's a little bit more spread out after the incident with Kalisto.
We look at that battle for 4th right there. When we get a second, how about 24th position? Now, I apologize. I didn't realize we had a Barker and a Baker. This is who I thought originally. This is David Baker. He's our hard charger in 24th spot. He didn't put in a qualifying time. Well, actually, I guess they don't put in qualifying times, do they? He didn't put in a warm-up lap. How about that? He just kind of showed up and raced. Right now, he's up 7 spots.
It's a little dangerous considering you got to acclimate to the conditions.
They qualified during the week for new viewers, so they don't come in and they know their grid spot. And he's going to get a spot right here on Fletcher.
Oh, that was Mike Taylor actually getting a spot on Fletcher. Managing to sneak by. Or we could see exactly what you called. Maybe a little bit later. Fletcher was wide into the S's. Manages to get back to the racing line. But his momentum has been hurt as Baker climbing up over the rear spoiler of that number 28. Looking around the outside. Going to make it hard for him. But he's good on the brakes down into the inner loop. Finally slots back into line.
Yeah, I was doing a little crystal ball commentating there. I thought he was going to hit that spot, but it didn't quite work out right.
That's how it works. Okay. Back up front, still tight racing for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Clark Archer holding back the car of Brian Bennett.
Now this second through 9, they were all really close in qualifying. About 3/10 split them apart. And we're seeing that now in the race. They're all just right there. Everybody not fast enough to make a pass and not slow enough to pull away.
Ooh, Brian Bennett getting all on top of Clark Archer as they hit the top of the S's, but look at just how much momentum is important as he drops 10th after 10th on that number 29, and he's going to miss out on his chance this lap. Oh, we had a car miss the inner loop. That was Josh Wolf. Let's watch on board. Looks like maybe just a little bit too late on the brakes, Dawson.
Yeah, I don't know what it could be. I don't know if that front damage is hurting him as well. That hood is a little crumpled up.
Yeah, that's the second braking zone that he's had trouble with. The first one got him into the back of Callisto, and then that one there.
As he came out of the carousel, Travis Henderson managed to overtake him. The number 124 moves himself into 9th. I know in the real world, under braking, these cars deal a lot with wheel hop. Do they experience that in the sim world here in these cars, Dawson?
From what I've driven here this year, I haven't had it, but I know in the B car you definitely have wheel hop. I think it's something that is definitely there, but is curable with the right setup.
Haven't really noticed it a lot out here so far today. We'll keep an eye out for it as we watch Wolf now. Still running within the top 10, but obviously struggling out here today.
Dawson, I know wheel hop is totally different than what I'm going to ask you about. What about getting the car airborne, hopping over the curbs through the bus stop? You get them up there?
Yeah, you can, and this was another thing that they were talking about with the setup. You can actually, the gearing here isn't, there isn't one obvious choice. I was hearing over the week, hey, you can run the little higher gear, you're probably going to be a little faster, or you can run that lower gear, you save a little bit of gas. And another thing in that bus stop, when you get airborne, the lower RPMs will keep the car under you a little bit better. So if you get too high of revs and you get up there, the car, when it comes back down, will get a little wheel spin. If you're not completely straight, it's really hard to catch.
We ride on board with Brian Grandin in 7th. A little bit farther back, Chad Barker was overtaken by Claude Belval. That was for 12th. Actually, I take that back. No, that was Barker's a lap down. Excuse me. That was not for position. Something we'll have to get used to around here as the race goes on. Already lap 12 here, Bill. Things are ticking off one by one around this track with no cautions. This might be one of the fastest Pack Majors races we've called.
Yeah, we've had some long ones. We've done those Coke 600s with fast repairs and yellow flags galore. Let's talk about lap times, though. We talked about Blake Reynolds, his early lap of a 1:11.5. His last lap, a 1:12.4, almost a second slower after only 12 laps.
Now expect that to get even bigger here as we go on, as he loses another 2/10. From what I understand, right in this 12 to about 20, that's when it's going to really start to hurt.
Yeah, he just came across the line. How about a 12.6 that time? My goodness.
Now comparing him to the second place car, Trevor Vavroski's last time was a 13.4, so that's an extra 0.8 off pace that he is at.
Oh, Brian Grandin, we need to go to him. Almost had a moment, well, did have a moment, really. Almost met the wall coming out of the 90. Let's watch on the replay here. He had himself a decent run down into the 90, but a little bit too much curb, you're going to see here, Bill. Sent those rear wheels out of grip.
Yeah, he was able to straighten it up. And Brian Bennett had an eyeful of that one. That's the car that just gets by. Luckily, the yellow car of Grandin gets it going in the right direction. Only loses one spot, drops back to 8th.
Clearly, it's going to be all about keeping those mistakes out. Here's from onboard Bennett. Says, thank you, I'll take another. Bennett actually started in 5th, I'm seeing, and has now moved himself up to 7th. So he's lost positions since the start, trying to claw his way back forward.
Calm. Let's go back to, I'm sorry, Joe, I lost you there if I interrupted you. I'm sorry I didn't hear you on my mic. 21st position, how about Mike Taylor? Hard charger, up 7 spots.
Nice job from Mike Taylor. Is my mic back okay?
Yeah, it might have been just me.
All right.
Another one of our hard chargers as he's up from 28th to 21st.
Nicely done. A few of the back markers, I expect Dawson to probably gain spots just by being patient and keeping the car pointed forward.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. And I know we were talking a little bit earlier, maybe a back marker tries to go for that two-stop, that run it all the way out to 30 laps. But we could also see them play the game of every 15, maybe 20 laps pitting and getting on them fresher tires. They can play the games because they don't really have that upper hand in speed. They're going to have to make up for it in strategy.
We'll keep our eyes peeled once pit stops start happening. Who is doing what in terms of that going to be very important here on the road side of things in a much different way than some of these oval guys may be used to. Meanwhile, we watch this battle for 6th continue.
You probably saw at the top of your screen there, that yellow car at the back there, that's Brian Grandin. Again, he has really got that car sideways. The last car in the train.
And nobody's able to really get away from each other in this train. Dawson mentioned that these guys qualified extremely close to each other on time. Cornette now up at the head of it. Slavonic is actually starting to stretch away. Down into the inner loop one more time. Go ahead.
Yeah, pulling a gap to that train, I think he's... Yeah, we'll leave him alone then.
Yeah, Slavonic, unfortunately, I'm being called for the commentator's curse here as he lost a bunch of time through the inner loop. That set him back into the clutches of Cornette. By the way, if you have any questions for us, just type it into the YouTube chat. We try to keep an eye on that. And if you're curious about anything about how sim racing works here on iRacing in the Pacific Majors, just give us a shout, and we'll try and see if we can bring it to air.
Drivers have to be really appreciating this after the dirt race. That
That was the car of Clark Archer.
Yeah.
Didn't hit anything, but had a very Grandin experience there as we watch the replay. Actually made it all the way over to the grass. You're going to see as we ride on the roof here. Had inches to spare on our right side.
That looked a lot like that spin we saw earlier. I forgot who had that same exact spin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, right in front of him.
Said.
Yeah. There you go, Doss. You got
catching up.
Stay with it here. And talk about Grandin, he was able to get by. He's up in 7th, just ahead of Archer. The other two cars that got by were Bennett and Clement.
Goes back to what I was saying earlier, where the drivers that seem to be making the fewest mistakes are doing the best up at the front. Drivers need to be nearly flawless around these 90 laps, especially in such tight confines in this battle for 3rd through 7th.
Keeping your car straight is definitely going to give you a couple positions with mistake-free, but what's also going to give you is some tires. The tires, they don't like to be slid around, and with this really hot track that we have, it's definitely a good idea to keep your car straight.
Going to have to be very Prost-like in these machines if you want to be able to do the most with these tires. As we ride on board with Grandin, currently sitting behind the 71 of Bennett, as they all slow it up through the inner loop one more time. It amazes me how quickly they chuck it into that first part and then get woed up for the second half.
It's a little scary because if you don't do it right, that car through them S's, you can't go flat out nowhere near enough downforce. They get a little sideways, and certain times your car's going to like it, the other time it's not. And especially on these older tires, as we're getting all the way to lap 17 now.
And Bill, this just makes me want to see them eventually get that Lotus 49 out here in the Pacific Majors one of these days. One of these days.
That'll be a hard sell. I think we'd have a couple raised hands here in the booth. Yeah, but I don't know why not. These guys race. Other than I guess there is no there is no current race, Joe. Although it is the 50th anniversary. It seems like it would have been this year if it was happening.
Oh, and William Fletcher, did he find the wall there? I just caught the replay. Ooh, into the inner loop. Looks like that car just got away from him under braking. We're going to watch one more time on board. Wow, a hard slam, if anything.
Might be fun to look at this, and we can do it one more time from Adam Young. He was right behind him. We get a good view of what's going on.
Well, Adam was wondering if he could gain any positions. There's one, Adam.
You can see the paint scheme of his car, as that team always runs that wood-colored car. Look at that.
And actually, I love this on the nose. The Get Well Soon Tony, that is towards Tony Lamberti, who is recovering from a stroke. And we wish Tony the best. We know that he's well-loved, not only by the Texas community. I understand he's very popular in the Lotus 79 community. There's been a lot of people reaching out and wishing him the best. Back to third place, Slavonic. Once again in the clutches. Every time he starts to find that pace, he just slips right back into them. Slavonic, as I mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast, an author. Written a book on a road racer's guide to racing on a budget. Excellent read. I highly recommend it.
Well, it can't be much cheaper than iRacing.
He actually touts the wonders of iRacing in that book, saying that if you haven't driven a course before and if you live near one of iRacing's that they have scanned, it's an incredible training tool.
I think the biggest selling point for iRacing is they have a former IndyCar driver, Richie Hearn, talking about how he can satisfy his competitive fire by coming out here and racing. There's a guy who's actually risked his life, you know?
Absolutely, and Richie is aware of your love for him. By the way, Bill, we've heard it in interview with him.
It's becoming a bit creepy now.
Oh, Paul Slavonic under threat. Mitchell Cornett takes a look at that peek.
Oh, Cornett got really wiggly there.
He's pushing hard now. He's thinking, I got a sniff of a podium here if I can get by Slavonic. He's seen the mistakes that he's been making. But he's got to be careful not to make his own mistakes now in this car. Look at the run. He's got up the hill. This could be his best opportunity yet. Are we going to see a defense from Slavonic? Just a little bit of a weave, but back to the racing line.
And you know what, Joe? All that battling, they're there behind. It's Bennett is one of them, and it's Clement.
Oh, a little bit of target fixation for Brian Bennett, unfortunately. Clement started to lose it. You're going to see it here in the replay. I saw that one come in the rear. That car did not look steady, and off he goes into the kitty litter.
I don't think either one of them touched each other.
I think there was a slight bit of tap from the 71 onto the back of the 111.
Dawson, what was happening there? They were coming on the two cars that were battling up in front. They were really closing. I think they got a little greedy.
Yeah, I've had that where you kind of mark your braking marks off of the guy in front of you, and then all of a sudden, you know, if one guy makes a mistake, the next guy makes a mistake. I think we got a car on pit road.
Matthew Thunhorst, the first to blink here, lap 21. We're expecting, Bill, a three-stop is the most safe call here.
Maybe. I would think that Thunhurst might go the other direction. What was Dawson was talking about, just try to two-stop it. But yeah, the lap times are coming down so big now. The leader's lap time is almost 2 seconds slower than what he started with. So fun Thunhurst has got to come in.
Had some side-by-side racing. Cornett on Slavonic into the outer loop. Couldn't quite do anything through that carousel. Slavonic was slow off the inner loop and went a little bit wide, but managed to salvage it. Still, both of these drivers starting to feel the pressure.
Right there, Indianapolis, a great chance to make up some ground.
And what this has done between the two of them has allowed Brian Grandin, he was all the way back down in 7th. Yep. He just gained 2 spots. He's looking at gaining 2 more as he closes on the rear spoiler of Cornett.
Remember, Grandin had that off, and then he was able to keep it going, and then, boy, he closes up. Look at Grandin. Here he comes.
Good on the brakes.
Number 8 machine. Oh, look at this run. He's got him.
squirrely getting onto the power. Mitchell Cornett gets loose, hands over that 4th position to the Elite West car of Brian Grandin.
If I didn't know better, I would say that is Never Say Die Dawson Brock in that car. This guy had fallen back several positions, and then he just hung in there. Cars in front of him had trouble. He's up to 4th.
Well, keep going, and he could easily get onto the podium here. That would be wow.
Let's get a replay of Claude Belval about 40 seconds ago or so. He had to get out of the way of Thomas Lovelady, teammate, another Elite West teammate, making a move in the same place.
I don't know if he got out of the way or got shoved out of the way.
That's the NASCAR racing there, Bill.
Yeah, not from a guy who's a lap down, though. This doesn't go well. I'm talking about Lovelady.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. I didn't think about that. That wasn't for position, I guess.
Nope. Lovelady in the yellow car on the inside.
Red machine was Belval. Certainly a little bit of a hello there.
We talked about Thunhurst. He's the leader in the Great Plains category, and Belval, the leader in Canada club.
Canada being one of the newer clubs that has joined, as we see Thompson come in for his first stop of the day in the 314.
The series continues to grow as there are big plans for next season where they're going to open it up globally.
Looking at that paint scheme, I almost wonder if that's supposed to make drivers look in the rearview mirror and unnerve them or something. That is, boy, that'll shake you.
Now, Joe, it's a handsome young man.
Handsome, but what an expression.
Now, we talked about Brian Grandin earlier. He's starting to really make ground, and he's right there on the bumper. Holy cow!
In fact, he scares them into the pits. And we're talking about Slavonic.
Is this a tactical move maybe from Slavonic, thinking that Grandin could potentially be on the move and doesn't want to lose time trying to battle him on track, takes that Ford Fusion in for his first stop.
Henderson in as well. These are the first big names, top names that have come in. Slavonic, Henderson.
So far, only one car is not out on track. Sadly, it is Lionel Callisto, our points leader. Last car out there in 30th, Chad Barker. 25 cars are on the lead lap, with Michael Thompson being the last of them.
Guy waits 5 seasons to get to the top of the point standings and is there for a week. Talking about Callisto.
Well, he does have his drop weeks.
There is drop. That's very true.
So we'll get a real idea of how hard this is going to hurt him. I'm surprised you don't have the pocket points all figured out here, Bill.
Well, it's kind of rough here because it's pocket points for road races and for ovals as well.
True,
so it's kind of hard to keep track of.
Thompson comes out ahead of Travis Henderson, who completes his stop. Number of drivers coming in, including Vovroski now.
Your leader's last lap time was a 14.2. That's about 2.5 seconds slower than his best lap that was set on lap 2.
So roughly 24, 25 laps. Go ahead.
I don't think Vovroski, I think this move was definitely not something, I don't think he thinks he can beat Blake. I think he saw that some of the field behind him, and he didn't want to get caught out there on slower tires. I think this is a good move for him.
Well, maybe we can pick up Paul Slavonic right now. As he's coming across, is he going to get out? No, Vovroski's out in front.
Reynolds does keep going himself. Last few laps are 1:13.7, 1:13.8, 1:14.2, and then this time by a 1:14 flat. He's definitely losing some time.
Yeah, now this isn't, he can't, Dawson. Reynolds can't afford to stay out too much longer now with Vovroski on fresh tires. If you figure Vovroski's lap times are going to be about 2 seconds faster.
Well, that 2 seconds, you're looking at about 10 laps because Vovroski was about 20 seconds back before he pit. So he has about 10 laps. Yeah, 10 laps to play with. And I think he's probably thinking now, if he waits like 3 or 4 laps, then he'll be on even fresher and he'll be able to gain even more time.
Yeah, I had forgotten the interval was so The interval right now between Reynolds and Grandin. Of course, Grandin, look at that, Grandin up in second place, almost 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Well,
he's.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Well, Blake, I'm assuming he'd go 3-stop with as big of a lead and not even risk it on fuel. Are you guys thinking the same, or? I think with that big of a lead.
It's a hard call, but here's an interesting factoid about his pace, though. If he keeps this up, he's set to lap all the way up to roughly P4. So he's looking like he really has his choice of strategies if he wants it.
I think Blake Reynolds could 5-stop this race and still win it.
I know, talking to Trevor before, one of the things that he brought up was, why don't I go 30 laps and then see what everybody else is doing? And from there, maybe go 20s and just kind of see. That might be what Blake is trying to do, and then pick the best strategy to defend off everybody else.
Play the
Second place is
flexible
in.
route.
Brian Grandin coming in.
That's actually pretty clever. As we watch the Elite West driver come into his stall. We haven't really watched to see who's hitting them or not, as isn't quite as critical. You don't lose as much time on the slower road courses on an oval if you miss by those few feet and have to back up. It's still costly, of course.
Bobrovsky goes by, as does Slavonic on Grandin. Grandin now just beginning to roll.
Driver trying to work his way back through the field. Josh Wolf just overtook Mark Herzog for 17th place. It's going to be a little bit screwy, though, as drivers will be on fresh tires and old tires, and it's going to be a little bit hard to tell who is on what.
Well, what's interesting, Dawson, remember it was Slavonic and Grandin that were in that battle, if I remember right, and then Slavonic decided to come in. He ran those 2 laps. He came in 2 laps earlier. He's now up in front of Grandin by about 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, they quit. I believe it's called quick pitting and short pitting.
Yeah.
Short pitting, and yeah, you get on them tires, you get that lead, and as long as you have the position in front of them, you should beat them. And yeah, it's definitely working out.
Not only that, Slavonic was a half sec slower in the pit box, but just coming out and having maybe 2 or 3 laps on fresh tires was enough to make up that interval. But of course, it's a pay me now, pay me later type thing. Grandin's got, well, he'll have 2-lap fresher tires for the entire stint.
Yes, I just saw Henderson made a move on Reynolds. Just to give you an idea, Henderson running back in the 20th position, he just passed the leader, the fastest guy, flat out fastest guy on track. Them tires are just such a big deal.
Top 6 drivers still to come in. Reynolds, Cornette, Archer, Clement, Bennett, and Trussell.
There's the pass with Henderson, working his way around in that 124. And yeah, as Bill mentioned, highest pitter right now is Bobrovsky in that 7th spot. I'm kind of watching to see what happens ahead of him. He's only 47 seconds behind our leader.
And he's coming right up on that fuel window of 30 laps. Could see him this time.
Reynolds dealing with quite a bit of traffic right now. He's got the Salami ahead of him. Number 14 trying to move up a little bit high here on the banked carousel. Let him through. Unfortunately, that's going to hurt his exit. But not...
Slices up the Salami, no problem.
Yeah, not going to hurt his lead too badly. Well, let's stay on Reynolds, our leader, to see what he does here. Currently has a 30-second gap.
Maybe we can go off the tail of Reynolds since we're on board. That's a pass for position back there as Michael Thompson gets around Beltrami. They're a lap down, but that's 19th. You see the yellow bar on camera right. Makes that pass.
So Reynolds, though, continues on. Now, one thing we haven't talked about a whole lot is the track evolution. We can start to see that dark patch going in. Rubber is going down. We're going to work a little bit different than it does on ovals here on road courses with the way they rubber in.
I know that rubber, especially around here, makes a huge difference. The 6 hours also here at the Glen was just this weekend, and we had a setup that felt really good, and all of a sudden in the race, just not having that rubber, it was tight, it was loose, it's unbelievable how this track makes a difference with that rubber.
So we got some information on Callisto as to why he pitted and did not take the free repair. His engine had actually blown in that incident, Bill, and he got to the pits before he checked the free repair. So it was an accident. He meant to take it.
Well, live and learn.
Yeah, it sounds like he does intend to get back out. He's just having to wait. I guess what, it's roughly 45 minutes for an engine to get replaced.
Let's go to the leader real quick. This is Reynolds. He's being ran down by Thompson. This is show you what new tires can do. Thompson out there a lap down trying to get that back. You know, I'm not real quick figuring stuff out. I came home one night and found an ex-girlfriend in bed with somebody, and first words to me were, "We're broken up," and so it dawned on me then. I kind of figured out that Blake Reynolds now, as he's gone 30 laps in a 90-lap race, he's going to two-stop this. I figured it out.
I mean, I'm thinking he will. If he's staying out here this long, it would make the most sense. I know there's that option. He can cut the rest of the race up in 20s, but why not? You're already this far. You obviously have probably the best car. It's not giving him too many troubles.
No, I figured this out right now.
There he goes.
Here he comes.
Our leader now into the pits. Highest car who has pitted behind him is Trevor Vavrovsky, but Vavrovsky on a different strategy, we believe. At this point, Reynolds will be able to split it up 30, 30, and 30 laps and get to the end.
Well, this is good. This gives us something to pay attention to, because Vavrovsky should be your leader for a few laps.
He's not the only leader doing this strategy. Mitchell Cornett now comes in on the same lap for his first stop.
Now, Bill, I know we talked about Slavonic and Grandin with their pit strategies, and Slavonic coming in a little early. It seems like Grandin's newer tires are starting to catch up. He's just behind Slavonic here as they go on the front stretch.
Yeah, and I got to report, I'm a little disappointed. It looks like, did Reynolds actually get out in front of...
He did.
Vavrovsky, even with the... Okay.
And he's on fresher tires now, which means he's going to pull away. Yeah, Slavonic and Grandin, we saw them about to get into a battle when Slavonic decided to peel away, take his stop. Apparently it did not get him away from Grandin enough. Still, they are sitting in third, and everybody has now pitted, barring, well, Chris Pence just came in for his, and D. Palmer is now getting his as well. That is everybody in for their first stop.
We might be covering one of those races best in class here, with two classes of cars out there.
There were predictions that Reynolds would run away with this one. It's looking to be coming through. With that being our first pit cycle done, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. You're watching the iAnalyze.com 355 at the Glen, round 10 of the Pacific Majors. Don't go away.
Fuel usage.
Averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons. Change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons. Changing right side tires.
Welcome back to Watkins Glen International. We're here for round 10 of the Pacific Majors. It's the iAnalyze.com. 3:55 at the Glen. Blake Reynolds has been leading since the drop of the green, and even with the pit stops, he didn't manage to lose the lead, although he went pretty late, looking obviously on a two-stop strategy in that ride and shotgun number 67. Trevor Vovrosky has been holding down second place since the pit stops finished. He's about 14 seconds back from Reynolds and dropping, having pitted much earlier. We believe he is on a three-stop instead. So is Paul Slavonic, who is sitting in third, but only just barely. This has been kind of the battle of the race since the pit stops have finished. Slavonic holding on the podium, but over Brian Grandin, who pitted a little bit later than Slavonic, has come back out right behind him after their stops finished. Hasn't been able to get by, but continues to put the pressure on. Rounding out the top five, Josh Wolf had a couple mistakes before the pit stops. Got into the back of Lionel Callisto. Unfortunately, nearly ended his race. Callisto has been slotted back into last after he had to get an engine repaired and new one put in on that car. Josh Wolf, since then, has outbraked himself into the inner loop, but has climbed back up to fifth. He's just ahead of Matthew Thunhorst, sits in sixth. Haven't seen a whole lot of Thunhorst. He was one of the earliest pitters that we saw kick off the pit cycle. And he is a little ways ahead of Mitchell Cornett, who has since dropped back. He was up in the fourth position. He's now sitting down in seventh. Pit stops did not treat him well. Travis Henderson sitting in eighth of the drive. We haven't seen a whole lot of, but he was among that group, sitting from third back to seventh. That hasn't gained a lot of spots here. Trevor Clement sitting right behind him in ninth. And then it's another car all within this battle. Rounding out our top 10 bill is Clark Archer.
Yeah, you talked about Thunhurst being an early pitter. He was the earliest pitter. He's on a 16-lap stint right now, so he should be due to come in pretty soon. And you talked about the little train. Yep, he's back out on the rails, but check your train schedule, because he's going to be late to the station as he is 26 laps down.
And right as we jumped away from that battle between Clement and Henderson, is he going to be able to get to the underside of him? This is for that eighth position, still side by side out of the carousel. Coming up to Indianapolis, Henderson's going to have the inside of Clement. Clement goes deep into the corner, too deep as he goes off. Manages to recover, though.
Took it in hotter than desert sand and couldn't get it to woe up, but it's only going to lose, well, he loses a couple spots there as he crossed back to 10th. Into the clutches now of Brian Bennett.
Yeah, it didn't go into the sand, though. Kept it in the grass. And Dawson, I'm guessing he's one of the drivers wishing they had that paved runoff from the current track out there.
Oh yeah, you can really get out there with that that new format, but we don't see that quite yet on iRacing. Hopefully we can see that soon.
This is a battle here. If you're looking at Archer, he's on 7 laps fresher tires than Henderson. So that's why the 124 car is struggling right now to stay out in front.
Yeah, he's got guys catching him, and they're just unable to quite get past him. We'll see. I think Archer might have something.
Yeah, Archer, Clement, and Clement, all on the same pit strategy. In fact, look at the drive that Archer's going to get here. I think he's got it.
Both of them had a big wobble coming out of the corner. Gathered it together, though. Also, don't worry, Bill. I've been trying Trevor's name my hardest, and bad habits are hard to break, so yeah. Don't feel too bad.
So here's the deal for oh look at goodness, wow. Archer really trying to get all he can. Dawson, can you burn up your tires? Can Clark try too hard and the goodie get off of them?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know the S's especially, if you really push it through there, you can gain a little bit of time by getting the car sideways. As we see, just underneath Henderson, we go side by side through the S's.
Archer
Henderson
saw an opportunity. Yeah, Henderson got held up by Palmer, a lapped car.
Wow, and I know Travis very well. I've raced with him. He does not give in.
Oh, he had to there as Archer with a decisive move into the inner loop, but is he going to have to give it right back as he hurts his exit? Wow, big wobble down into the grass from Henderson. This is going to give an opportunity for Clement to get it right back, and they're right exactly where they were just a lap ago, side by side once again.
Man, Henderson was really working to get that car through that carousel, and as he gets the position back, no, not quite. They're side by side coming into the final turn.
Things getting a little bit hairy for Henderson as he tries to hold side by side, still out of that final corner. It's going to be a drag race down to the 90. Henderson with the momentum, but he's on the outside. He's going to have to be very brave into this downhill braking zone. It looks like Trevor's got just a little bit of a nose ahead, pushes him off into the runoff and takes the spot, but is he going to lose it as Brian Bennett unfortunately checks up and not able to capitalize?
Yeah, Bennett had a great seat for that entire battle. Just kind of sat back, watched, picked the lane, and got past Henderson.
Oh, in third place as Grandin's finally got it. Working through the inside of the inner loop, takes it away from Slavonic. Let's see if we can get a replay of how that one started. Here, pulling it up on screen. Down into the inner loop, you can see Grandin peeking his nose out. Somehow didn't lose time despite being on the alternate line. Bad exit from Paul Slavonic, and he sticks his nose in aggressively into the inner loop, or the outer loop. Says, "Thank you, I want that spot, and it is mine."
Grandin
back
up
live now.
Up 8 spots, having a good run. And it's been an eventful 8 spots too, as he had some trips off into the New York Alfalfa. Another driver with a charge, up 12 positions, our hard charger, Matthew Fun Thunhurst there. We talked about him really doing well.
Bill,
although he's got to come in for a stop real soon.
I'm not sure if we can get a replay as maybe about 40 seconds ago with Blake Reynolds. We talked about this before the race. If there was anything that was going to stop Blake Reynolds, it could be potentially problems with traffic, and he nearly had it with William Fletcher coming through the outer loop. We're going to see here as we ride on board, just miscalculates it a little bit, and I think there was slight contact here that we're going to see on the exit.
Yeah, closer than he needs to be. Watch this. Yep. Nothing wrong from Fletcher there. He just holding his line.
A little bit of damage there on the front of that riding shotgun machine.
Now he's got some work to do. He's got to come up. He's got Lovelady and Barnes. Now, not for position between Barnes and Lovelady.
How about Cornette and Wolf down the front stretch, down into the 90. Cornette to the inside. Can he get it done, though? As he comes off the corner, can we see an over-under from Wolf? Tries to stick his nose in. Can't get the pace off the bend.
Wolf, one of those grizzly drivers, along with Borowski, as they run 2 and 5.
Yeah, and the third... Ooh, we got a spin?
No, sorry, go ahead. I was going to talk about Josh, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, and the third driver, Henderson, we saw him getting past a couple times. I've been kind of seeing he's really squirrely all over the place. Them tires are starting to yell at him, say, "Hey, I don't like this. Can we get some new ones?"
There we see Henderson on screen. We got a battle between Mike Franklin and Wayne Hutchison. That's going to easily go to Franklin as long as he makes it through the corner. And I think he's got it. But a point I was going to make a little bit ago is, I don't know what your take is on this, Dawson, but to me this seems like a little bit of a sloppy race for Wolf. We're used to seeing him being up front, incredibly fast, and mistakes have really hurt him today.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's definitely not a typical Josh Wolf race. I know he raced 4, well, more like 3 6-hour races this weekend, and I don't know if that's maybe coming back to hurt. I doubt it. Josh is a really good driver, and give him a little bit of time, he'll ride up, and he'll be right up there.
Still, I have to imagine that hurts your focus a little bit doing that many races, and then hopping into this.
Yeah, you're driving right when they hop into the practice, I heard them. They're like, "I want my DP back. I want my Daytona prototype back. This is no fun."
Used to that downforce.
Yeah, Henderson's like, "Start me 5 or 6 laps down. I don't care. Just let me drive the C7."
Unfortunately, not a Predator race for Henderson.
Nope.
I can just feel Lionel Kalisa right now mumbling as he watches this on replay when the race is over, talking about Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got in the back of him. Maybe one too many races for Howlin' Wolf right now. Hey, let's go to our leader real quick. We talked about some traffic. Here he's got Lovelady, he's got Gall, he's got Hutchinson. This could be fun to see how he negotiates these.
He's got 27 seconds currently over Vavrovsky in second place, so really doesn't have to push the issue. He can wait patiently for the right opportunity here. Ride on board.
I think he's going to do just that here as we get to the front stretch. It's a great zone. Yep, there he goes.
Looks down the inside.
Yeah, I gotta give Lovelady some credit. A mistake that I constantly make when I'm faster, and Lovelady is faster than Gall, but he was smart enough to check his mirrors before he pulled out. Look at that.
Look at that clever move, though. Saw him go a little bit wide. That wasn't for position, but even still, Lovelady basically following Reynolds through here for a second. If he can hold on to his tail, maybe you could use him as sort of the friend holding your hand in a crowd and just paving the way.
Stick with
I know that's definitely a thing on short tracks. If you can follow a faster guy through and he moves that car up, as long as you follow him through, and it's the same way here on the roadside. You use that car as a pick. It's really nice.
He's staying behind him as we hear that Thundhorst, the first of the last pit stops, is the first of these pit stops once again.
I don't think he's done. This is going to be his middle of 3 with 46 to go. That's just about what I thought. 23 laps. That breaks it up into 4 equal segments. Taking tires.
Exactly halfway, 45 laps in. And we've got 13 cars still on the lead lap currently. That's going to switch around a little bit with the pit stops for a moment.
Seeing a lot of people just spaced out, everybody taking their time still.
Yeah, it heated up for a little bit. We had a lot of great battles on track with the differing strategies, but now it's starting to cool down for a moment, at least as far as on-track action. Off-track action with the pits is definitely going to be heating up. If you're just joining us, once again, this is the Global Sim Racing channel covering the iAnalyze.com 355 at the Glen.
Love it or hate it, the NASCAR stage racing, it kind of provides all these different strategies, and we're seeing that here as well. All these different strategies, they create racing, guys are on different tires, different strategies, and I mean, you like it or not, it works, and it's working here too. Not the stages, we don't have that, but got another car on pit road, I believe.
Yeah, this would be the place where all the guys who are on the 3 stops would come in. We're looking at guys like Vavrovsky, Grandin, Slavonic. They all should be coming in pretty soon. 2 stoppers: Reynolds, Cornette, Archer, Clement.
Hutchison and Ray Partridge, both for Dog Bear Racing. Wonder if there's some team tactics going on here.
For those interested, Dog Bear is named after one of the team organizers. Well, their pet dog.
Their dog, yeah. Which apparently is not the actual name of the dog, if I understood correctly. It was
just looked like a dog.
Daughter.
It looked like a bear or something, yeah.
Oh, it was the dog's name was Bear, and someone's, as Slavonic comes in from 5th, someone's daughter apparently called it Dog Bear by accident, and they thought, well, that's a good enough
There's their
name.
Yeah.
Michael Thompson also coming in. And drivers and making sure to announce they're coming in. As you saw, Thompson was among a pack of cars. That's a bit of a tricky one, Dawson, if you're surrounded by traffic getting in there.
Oh yeah, you definitely want to at least not be on that inside, especially here at the Glen. That pit stop, you got to start thinking about it before you make that turn 8. I know if you call it out, maybe then you'll have that other car go high, and if you hear a car in front of you, call it out. Yeah, definitely go high. Don't try and apex the corner, others you'll get stuck right behind them.
On screen, seeing some interesting action between Archer and Wolf, and that's Ray Partridge, who's a lap down, and this is going to give an opportunity to Archer, who gets to the inside of Wolf. down into Indianapolis. About even on the brakes for both of them. They're going to go side by side through this corner. What can Wolf do? Keeps it on the course. It's going to switch back on the final turn. Has a nose in, but has to give it up. Look at that. Brave from Archer to just chop him off at the apex.
Got
Also,
a lot
as
of
this was
drive.
happening, Bofrosky was in, sorry.
Yeah, Archer just got a lot of drive through that corner, and I think that's part of that rubber coming up. He was able to get it right through that little groove there, and the car just sticks.
Ooh, he was wide on the first corner, and you can see Clement start to catch up to him as he was much tighter on the exit. This is for position, fighting for fourth as they continue to demote Josh Wolf.
Wolf, the only driver, I believe, out of those 4 on a 3-stop strategy. He should be coming in pretty soon in that 65 machine. The other drivers, Archer, Clement, and Bennett, all going to look to go to lap 60. And here comes Bennett right now. Nope.
Getting a little bit antsy. He can't do anything through the inner loop. He closes down through the outer loop. He's got to get a run off of here. Looks like he might have one. Sticks his nose into the inside, coming down as we ride on his roof, but backs out of it, not confident enough under the brakes.
Well, Dawson, you can understand Bennett's impatience. He was racing with the guys Archer and Clement, who are starting to pull away from him. And then finally, the only way he can get around it is Wolf has to come in for a stop.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and you can't catch yourself putting your car in the wrong position, because you can that's an easy mistake that you make. Oh, I gotta get up there. Those are the guys I was with.
Yeah.
But you definitely just your time halfway through, just over halfway through.
Now it's 2 seconds back from Clement and 5th back to Bennett.
Matthew Thunhorst on those fresh tires starts overtaking cars. He demotes Rob Gall to 12th. But yeah, I was going to say, Dawson, I feel like that's a big point. You mentioned only halfway through this race, the drivers almost need to take an endurance race mentality of, I'll get it back later. I can't push things now. It'll swing my way again eventually.
Well, yeah, you're losing 2 seconds versus maybe you try and make a pass, but then you have the opportunity of losing 10, 15 seconds by driving off, and it's just not worth it.
Oh, this blew by him in the fluorescent blue machine. Brian Barnes just got 12th position over Rob Gall. Just like, I got to check tire strategy here because Gall's really struggling. Let's see where they stand right now.
So we found out where the story comes from on Barnes' infamous popsicle machine while you're looking that up. Apparently, no real intimate story, just when he joined iRacing, that was the first sponsor that he chose among the list of iRacing sponsors, and he decided, well, I'm just sticking with it. He's had it ever since.
Like a lucky charm there.
Yeah.
It's an interesting sponsor. When I first joined iRacing, I was like, wait, popsicle? What does that have to do with sim racing? It's a nice treat, I guess.
Not sure who was sponsored by that in real life. I haven't followed NASCAR closely enough in the real world in recent years to know who had that on the car.
Barnes always in the 4, always in that fluorescent blue machine, and usually popsicle.
Meanwhile, as we see Mike Franklin get by another car. Excuse me, that was Franklin getting passed by Thunhorst, sorry.
Back report that Bobrovsky has come in for his second stop. He's filed back out in 6th. He'll have one more to go. One more stop.
Yeah, I've been noticing out of the Grizzly guys, Henderson and Wolf, they've been having a little more trouble than Bobrovsky. I know they're on the same stuff. I don't know what's really changed between them two versus him. Bobrovsky having a great drive today.
Who was that off in the second to last corner there? We just saw on screen, trying to figure out. I think that was Fletcher, it sounds like. And he comes into the pits. Did he actually make contact? No, he just ran a little wide coming through Indianapolis, didn't hit anything and returned. Now, Dawson, I'm curious, I'm sure it varies by team, but with Grizzly and your connections with them, Do they tend to, did they come into this thing planning where everybody on the team does the same strategy, or are they playing it by each driver and their preference?
It's driver and preference. I know Henderson, from when I talked to him, I know I can say this because I'm not giving anything else away, but he said, I'm pretty much just going to go out there, and when the tires aren't right for me, I'm going to pit. And that's and I know Wolf, he thinks stuff into the future just from racing with him. He'll plan it out 2-3 stops ahead. So I know that's probably what he's doing. Vavrovsky, he's just an interesting one. I don't always know what he's doing. I know he's more of the driver type. He'll just drive the car, and I'm sure he's kind of planning it all based off of feel probably as well.
Oh, he's going side by side by feeling.
No!
Vavrovsky on fresh tires making great progress until he gets tipped off course by Clark Archer. He was having some close moments we were seeing on screen even before that. Clement nearly getting run off in the 90 on the first corner. You're going to see on board of the right-hand shotgun machine, too wide into the inner loop, just does not work in these cars.
If I didn't know better, I would say it almost looked like Archer got sucked around like a side draft. Dawson, I don't know if that actually plays in iRacing, but the car just did not turn right there as Vavrovsky went around him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Archer's car just kept going straight.
He might have, maybe it was the rumble strips. I know sometimes you hit them weird. They can be just funny and make your car turn weird.
He is on old tires,
Yeah.
and I got one word for you on explaining why that car didn't turn. Understeer.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure Vavrovsky was definitely thinking, gotta make up time here. I'm on the new tires. I really need to get this car going. Yeah, I just got caught up in it.
Vavrovsky did lose a place to Bennett. He's back on course, but has to make that ground up. Did Clark Archer make a mistake? Replay into the inner loop. I think he outbraked himself.
That's the second time through. That time he didn't have Vavrovsky on his left side, though. But
I wonder if he's cooked off the fronts. Watch this. Car just doesn't want to turn back left.
Now I know with braking, with the braking and you can adjust that on the fly. They have brake bias. You move that back, you brake a little more with the rear tires. He could be playing with that. I know for sure the Grizzly guys, they love playing with their brake bias, but he might just have had a wrong adjustment or too much.
I don't know if we mentioned this on air, but Vavrovsky has reported Clark Archer to the stewards to see if they want to do anything with it, and he's coming back up on him already.
I almost wonder if Archer didn't miss the apex the second time through with nobody there just to show it was an accident.
Oof, was it just me, or was Vavrovsky sideways all the way up the hill?
He's in a hurry. What's interesting, he's got Bennett, and right in front of him is Archer.
Yeah, he's driving that thing. You just see hands going back and forth in the front of that windshield.
Oh, he's getting impatient. He's caught up behind Bennett, poking his nose back and forth, trying to find a way through. The red mist has come down over Trevor Vavrovsky, currently sitting in 7th and trying to make the best of his tires while he can. Oh, it gets denied once again as Bennett comes back to the line in the final corner, but he's going to pull it over, under, get to the right side of that number 71, finally gets by him.
You got to be worried about them tires. We've seen that car left and right, sideways. They're new, but all right, there he goes. Yeah.
Either Archer missed the apex or decided that he had Vavrovsky behind him, and maybe I'm going to give him a lot of room.
I saw some smoke coming from that number 29. I'm pretty sure those tires are done on that riding shotgun machine.
So he loses it to Vroom, and Bennett gets by as well.
Well, the rubber might as well be made of wood on that wooden painted car there. So as he slides down into 7th, Vavrovsky now up to 5th.
I think overall that might have worked out in his favor. I don't think Vavrovsky was going to give him much room the second time around.
Certainly not. Haven't heard anything from the stewards yet.
Do they announce that like in race
They do
time?
have live
Oh.
stewards here in this series. Yes, indeed.
All right.
They run a tight ship.
I'm telling you, Archer overshot the apex the next time through the bus stop by himself just to show it was an accident.
And Clement is really not trying to hold him up. He just pulls over, lets that number 30 through.
I think that's probably another good call there. I'm thinking them tires are gonna wear off just a little quicker this run for Vavrovsky.
Now 57 laps in. We're getting close to the second stop for our 2 stoppers.
They're about 5 laps away. The next guy and going to be in the same situation as Vavrovsky is back in 9th position, Paul Slavonic. He's on fresher tires than Trossel, who's running in 8th. And my goodness, look on track who's just ahead of Trossel. It is Blake Reynolds. There's only 7 cars on the lead lap.
Well, Franklin's reporting, I think, the number 55, it sounds like. Oh, he definitely got tipped. Who is this? Josh Wolf, actually, the 65. This might be worth going back to about a minute ago. Here it is. Coming down to Indianapolis, Wolf is in the blue and white machine. The car that he is going to be tipping is Mike Franklin. And Franklin just came over the radio saying he turned in on him. So is Franklin looking to get himself punished here?
Well, let's have Sue take a look at this one and see what he thinks.
Of course. Thank you, Robin Miller.
I will help the race stewards around this one.
We watched from on board Wolf there on the replay.
Can he report himself in and possibly like not get as penalized? Is that?
I don't think that's the way they work it here.
Okay.
Maybe just has a very honest conscience.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he turned in on or not. I think the only thing that would make him feel bad is he wasn't on the same lap. It wasn't for position, so maybe that's where Mike is coming from.
Could be the case. So number 82 actually isn't too far down the order. He's halfway almost exactly at 15th.
Yeah, in fact, I got to correct myself. Well, I guess I was for position as Wolf was down a lap too. I just couldn't believe that Wolf was actually down a lap. That was for position, but Franklin, I think you're giving yourself a hard time. I thought you were okay there, Mike.
Oh, did Grandin pit? He was up in second. Grandin has been in and out. Highest 2 stoppers so far is Vavrovsky.
But he's got 33 laps to go from here. I'm not sure he can get there from here.
Oh, well,
I guess he can.
Well, Vavrovsky's got another pit stop. Highest car he's pitted 2 times is how I should have phrased it.
No, I was talking about Grandin, but I really forgot that
No.
it's really not about fuel. It's about rubber. So he can probably get there for 33 laps. He just won't be going very fast when the checker flag comes down.
Here we see Vavrovsky sitting in 3rd currently. Herzog has come in for his pit stop in the number 57. Alliance car exiting out now.
Now Reynolds went 32 last time. Do you think he's gonna try and push it all the way again and get to 64? Or is he gonna call it good at like 62?
Well, he'll have fresher tires at the end. Four extra laps sounds like a good deal to me.
I'm thinking that too. I don't know.
I think it's a matter of whether his chicken pot pie is done out of the microwave, because I think he could come in, probably eat that, and then still get out and win this thing. Boy, chicken pot pie in the microwave, if you haven't had one of those, give it a try.
Question is he going to take his fast repair, because he does have that damage. Meanwhile, on screen, we're watching Archer, who's been having trouble in this very corner, and Slavonic's right behind him. Check up as Brian Grandin is in this mix with A big bobble from Slavonic coming into the outer loop. Gives them each a little bit of distance now. Boy, if any of these guys have a spotter, and Grandin gets a run on Slavonic actually here. Both of these on the same pit cycle. He's able to fend him off, but I was going to say, Dawson, if any of these guys have a spotter, I think they need to get on there and tell them Archer is having trouble in the inner loop. Do not try and get up on him.
Yeah, I don't know how many of these guys actually have spotters. I think a couple of them do. I know none of the Grizzly guys do, but
yeah, this is really interesting. Once you have Archer, he's on Ulta. In fact, you can look at Archer
there he goes
as he
again.
lets him go
there he
by.
goes.
Now, Slavonic and Grandin are not really, Joe. Grandin's got 10 laps fresher tires on here. Slavonic has been out there for 12 laps. He's a 3-stopper. I'm not quite sure what Grandin's doing.
Well, whatever he did, it's worked
Yeah.
for now as he's got himself into 5th. He used that opportunity from Archer going wide and holding up Slavonic to sneak through after turn 1.
I think Grandin is good to go from here. It'll be a long last stint, but I think he's seen the pit box for the last time. Slavonic, not the case.
Now Reynolds, only 4 cars on the lead lap as Archer goes off track a little.
Did he touch the wall? I looked away for just a second. I'm going back to check on my screen. Had a hospital wobble there and managed to stay out of the Armco. Let's watch on the replay. Woo-hoo. Great recovery, but he's called it quits on these tires and has finally come in to the pits. And an adventurous second stint for the 29. Go ahead.
This second stint here, we've seen more guys with tire problems. I think it could be this with this real track. It could be warming up a little bit, and these tires are wearing a little more than what they were used to.
Could be the track rubbering in, not just the heats. Of course, could maybe change the handling as well. Cars set up for maybe a little bit more green of a track as we watch Clement climb his way up the S's, sitting in that 9th position.
3 cars on the lead lap right now.
Mitchell Cornett comes in for his second stop.
2 cars on the lead lap right now. Oh, here comes the leaders.
Do you think by the end of this, Reynolds will be the only one on the lead lap and everybody else will be doing 89?
I think it'll be about a handful. I think there'll be about 5.
So to answer our question from before, no, Reynolds is not going the extra couple laps. He's coming in with about 28 to go.
Still past the 2/3 mark, though, so yeah, he's in good shape.
Looks like he's going to save the quick repair as well. I know he had a little bit of damage from before.
Now, what's going to be interesting right now in second place is Trevor Vavrovsky, but remember, he has one more stop to go, and we believe Brian Grandin can make it to the end. Grandin is about 8.5 seconds back.
Yep.
So can Vavrovsky on fresh tires run him down?
Well, that's going to be a long run, isn't it?
He's got to pace himself too. He can't try and do all of it on one lap.
The problem is, Vavrovsky has lap traffic to deal with, but it's from the opposite direction. It's from Mike Franklin, guys on new tires. William Fletcher off in front of him. The car is second in line there is Franklin. He is 1 lap down. Gall is back there. Herzog also. There's a battle for 19th of Herzog in the 57 the 31 machine on the outside gets around, or Gall gets around. Franklin or Herzog makes that pass. Let's get that
cleanly
straight.
into the inner loop. With our second pit cycle done, let's go to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. You're watching the iAnalyze.com 355 at the Glen, round 10 of the Pacific Majors.
fuel usage.
averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons, change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons, changing right side tires.
Welcome to the iAnalyzeRacing.com 355 at the Glen, round 10 of the Pacific Majors. Blake Reynolds has been having it all his own way here today. Leads by a whopping 43 seconds over Trevor Vavrovsky, and Brian Grandin rounds out the podium. But this is going to change soon. We expect Vavrovsky to come in for one more stop and Grandin to attempt to go to the end. So the podium very much up in the air.
Bobrovsky, Slavonic, Wolf, and probably Henderson all need to come in for their last stop, I think. Everybody else should be good to go.
And Bill, we're expecting them to come in pretty soon here because we've got about 24 left on the timing sheets.
Yeah, what's going to be interesting is Brian Grandin. He's got 10 laps on those tires right now, so he's going to have to go 33 laps. How far is he behind Bobrovsky? About 4 seconds back. So Bobrovsky's going to have to come in, get what he needs to get done, then get out there and see if he can run down Grandin. Look at this. There's Henderson.
And Henderson, who was having a bit of a talk with the stewards a bit ago, wasn't happy with Clement, has some problems with Brian Bennett now, who tries to squeeze his way through. And that was not for position, I don't believe. Oh, it was for position, actually. Contact as Bennett shoves him out of the way into the 90.
And then for good measure, as we watch the replay, Archer's going to get another spot as well. Here we go.
We're going to watch it one more time on the replay, which, by the way, there was no action taken against Clement after Henderson reported it to the stewards. It's a little bit of a kiss as the number 71 is able to continue on.
I think Henderson was a little bit discouraged by cars that were a lap down passing him, but honestly, they were so much faster. They can't wait behind him forever. And Travis finally bringing the car in.
And Dawson, Bill likes to always ask the question of where would you buy a ticket around the track? If anything, today I feel like it's which onboard should you watch, and Trevor Vorosky seems to be all of our picks.
Oh yeah, definitely. That car has seen quite a bit of action here, left and right, and it's squirrely all over the place.
Yeah, I hope he oiled up his wheel because, man, he's been sawing on it.
Continues on for another lap here. He's got to come in soon, most likely, to take this final stint. He's going to lose a number of positions, but with fresh tires, it's going to be a race back up forwards. And boy, I can't wait to watch that because the 30 has been not short of contact, weaving, slides, you name it.
We don't need to go there. I just want to mention Matthew Thunhurst's name one more time. He's sitting back in 10th. I think he's going to sneak up into a top 5 position. He's really, really good of maybe the cars that are on the 3-stop strategy.
Currently sitting in 10th.
Yeah, but things will come his way. Right before the first stop, he was in 7th. Right before the second stop, he had made it up to 5th. So, he's a sleeper.
Ray Partridge comes in for what I believe is a scheduled stop. The 88 now exiting pit lane.
I think I maybe saw him get into the wall a little bit earlier during replay, so that could be maybe for damage as well.
I'm showing 4 stops on him, which is not... Okay, we're hearing 3 from our director, so maybe my timing and scoring just showing incorrectly. Paul Slavonic, 4th place driver, coming in for his final stop now.
He's one of the last 3. Wolf and Bobrovsky, the only ones really, I think, to see coming in. Michael Thompson still needs to make a stop.
And Wolf, the first car a lap down.
Well, we had
Not going to bring it in this time.
Yeah, we had a prediction earlier that all the way up to 4th place could be lapped. And as we have hit that just now, are we going to see even more cars? Reynolds is on a 2-stopper, so he's going to be slower than some of these cars that are taking 3 and could unlap themselves. Slavonic gets going once more.
Slavonic in 5th. I think he's safe on the lead lap. Don't know about Cornette, though.
Bit of a battle for 5th place as Clement rocks up to the back of Josh Wolf. Coming through the outer loop. Look at him close through the middle of the corner. But unfortunately, looks like can't get the exit off, but it's going to be a moot point because Josh Wolf has just announced he is coming in.
If we could go to Bobrovsky real quick in 2nd place. He's about to be passed, but it's not going to be position. He's got Gall, Baval, Baker, Grandin. Oh, in fact, Grandin is for position. But these are all lap cars trying to get around this Bobrovsky, who's on old rubber.
Grandin was 8 seconds back from Bobrovsky just a few laps ago. Now looking at overtaking him before he even stops for those new tires. It is going to be a hard ask for Trevor to get up there. And look at this truly train just forming behind the number 30.
It's got to be an interesting point. The car's squiggly. Got to be an interesting attitude for Bobrovsky. I'm racing in 2nd. You guys are just going to have to wait, I think is what he's saying. But this is a battle for position between Gall and Baval for 14th.
Man, if you could just have a camera looking at his hands right now, I just see him going back and forth and back and forth. Like, oh my.
Let's see if we can get an onboard. There we go. Let's steer it over to the steering wheel. Oh, we can't quite see it from this angle. We'll have to get Dougie Beard on that. Give us a nice steering wheel cam.
Okay, here's my thinking. If Bobrovsky is actually in a race with Grandin, the longer he can make Grandin sit back there and wait behind these cars, the better for him.
Oh yeah, it's definitely in his interest.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, Bill, is while we were talking, I heard Grandin get on the radio to some of these drivers ahead of him that are lap traffic, ask them to move over, because he's racing with Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
Cuts off Rob Gall.
Holy cow. He's not going to give him any room. You're going to have to pass him flat out.
Brandon's able to get in the inside of one. Now, Dawson, are you familiar with the truly trained term?
No,
curious?
Never.
So there was a driver. Oh, and Matthew Thunhorst is saying there's a wreck in the S's. That could be dangerous. Oh, Henderson.
All by himself.
A little bit too much curve on the inside as we watch the replay. The rear of the car went around, and then he gets plowed into.
That was Brian Bennett, who was having a great race in 6th position.
Surprisingly, that's really the only incident I think we've seen all day, Bill, of an accident taking out an innocent victim.
Bennett had he was done, he was on the 2-stop strategy, he was good to go.
All that smoke, had to pick a side, and picked too late.
What side do you pick?
The wrong one, apparently.
Yeah, that's where you need the guy,
Robert
Duvall. Robert Duvall. Yeah.
Vavrovsky has finally come in for his stop. And guess who he's coming out with? Clark Archer, side by side, who locked him up into one. And he goes right out of the marbles, keeps it out of the Armco, but he gives it up to Vavrovsky.
He didn't want to. You go ahead, just go ahead. Don't.
The point that I was going to make earlier here about the Trulli train, Jarno Trulli is an F1 driver who is known for qualifying well, not having the race pace necessarily, but nobody could get past him. So they formed what was called a Trulli train behind him. Is there a NASCAR equivalent to that?
You mean an actual NASCAR?
What a horrible reputation to have, huh? What a horrible thing to stick with.
Yeah, and unfortunately he's driven in other series since then, but poor Jarno Trulli, it's a term that is stuck.
I mean, at least you're remembered for something. Good or you'd prefer it to be good, but
better to be infamous than forgotten.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, well, we'll have to ask our chat to chime in, NASCAR fans who know their F1. Who is the NASCAR version of the Trulli train?
Guys, I think we are legitimately down to 2 cars on the lead lap.
Indeed, Brian Grandin, the only one that hasn't been lapped by Blake Reynolds, and well, he's a minute and 1 second behind with 16 laps to go. Can Reynolds actually catch Grandin and put a lap on the entire field potentially here?
I'm actually pulling for that. Yes, I would like to see that happen. And that has bigger consequences than you would think. That would mean that all these guys would have 1 less lap. Guys like Bobrovsky, who has visions of running down some of these guys on his fresh tires, he would like that extra lap.
Oh, he's going to need that.
Yeah.
8th battle for position as Slavonic has overtaken Trossel. That was Indianapolis as we watched that happen.
That's new
now,
tires.
I know we talked earlier about Vavrovsky. We talked about his hands getting back and forth. Well, he got the new tires. His hands are still working back and forth. It seems like he's just trying to get everything out of that car.
Likes a loose machine, apparently. I keep seeing the back end just get a little bit out coming up the end of the S's. He slotted back down into 5th after his pit stop. He's got about 6 seconds up to Clement, who is on a 2-stop strategy.
I got a good battle. How about 17th position real quick, Director? Number 57, Mark Herzog. This is fun. He's in a battle with Chris Pence. We haven't talked much about Pence right now. And these guys, what's interesting, and these guys got to get this sorted out. They've been going at it because Vroom is coming. And we know that he has places to go.
Well, Chris Pence better catch up soon to the number 57.
That was good, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Say that? That was
yes,
good.
I did
Good.
actually. My brain works in mysterious ways. You don't want to know. But Chris Pence had a bad exit coming out of the final corner. Won't get an opportunity into one. And here comes Vavrovsky behind them on very fresh tires. Ooh, he was right up on that curb. That number 30 using every inch of the track.
He's going to try and go for it here in the stop.
I think he's got it. He's given the blue flag on Pence, and Pence dutifully backs out of it. How about Thunhorst on Clark Archer, though, up for 6th position?
Yeah, this is only going to get better for Thunhorst.
Thunhorst, fresher tires on a 3-stopper. Archer on a 2-stopper. Suspect this might be a done deal. Although Thunhorst is not... Oh, well, look at him close under braking. There's those fresh tires.
The guy who is in trouble is Trevor Clement. He's out there on 16-lap old tires compared to Bobrovsky on 4 laps and only about 4 seconds on Bobrovsky.
Yeah, granted, Vavrovsky keeps this thing going in a straight line. He should be able to get that podium position. Oh, wait, no. 4th place. I had missing a spot.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure. Let's see if...
He's about 11 seconds back from Cornette, who's in 3rd.
Yeah. Cornette's got the same tires as Clement. That would be about 11 seconds that Bobrovsky would have to make up in 13 laps. That would be doable. I think that's almost doable.
Yeah, I think the bigger question is Grandin. Is he going to have enough to get to him?
Well, Vavrovsky's got 13 laps to do it with some very fresh tires, and right now he is the highest car on that 3-stop strategy.
Grandin has a race of his own, but he's not trying to be passed by. He's not worried so much about Cornette or Clement or Bobrovsky. He's worried about Reynolds. He would like to stay on the lead lap.
Bill,
Reynolds about 7 seconds back.
I've got some bad news for you. I think, if I saw correctly, is Mitchell Cornette? Oh no, he's not back on the lead lap quite yet. And no, he's on the same strategy as Reynolds, so he is not going to get his lap back most likely. Well, there we go. False alarm. I thought maybe we were seeing some cars on lap themselves, but timing and scoring was just going screw on me for a moment.
We have to come in and help us with some where they put the accents on the Mitchell. Now is it Cornette or Cornette? You know, we have Clement behind him. Clement?
Well,
Cornette.
We have a name pronunciation thread in the Pacific Majors. I don't think Mitchell's chimed in on that one.
It's got to be Cornette.
He probably figures that it's easy enough to...
I'm still pulling for Lavella to make a comeback, but I guess that's not going to happen.
Well, Claude Belval, we saw on screen getting squirrely out of turn 1, manages to overtake Rob Gall for 13th. Let's go to 6th because Thunhorst still is behind Archer. And actually, I think, has he dropped back a bit?
Yeah, he has.
Are the tires potentially evening out? Is that a thing? Is Archer once again botches the exit? Thunhorst is getting greedy. He looks to the inside, but he doesn't have a nose in. The turn 1 and the inner loop is going to be the end of Archer before this race is over.
Thunhorst right now
has been about...
Go ahead.
Yeah, Thunhorst has been out for like 13 laps. And that's right about where the tires really start to fall off. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen with Vavrovsky, who's on the same strategy. You get... Wow. Right there.
He needs to learn the lesson that others have learned, which is you don't want to be right on the tail of Archer through the inner loop. 4th place, Vavrovsky and Clement. He gets it done. Takes 1 position. 8 seconds in 10 laps up to Mitchell Cornett. I don't know about that one, Dawson.
And it's starting, like, the laps are counting off here, and I don't know, these tires, he's been using them. We've been seeing it all race long.
You guys are out of your mind. Bobrovsky has 3rd place locked up right now, even though he is 7.5 seconds back. That's a done deal. Cornett is dead man walking for a podium.
Well, what is Cornett running for lap? Okay, 14.2s. He's been right around that 14.2 for the past
Bobrovsky was a 13-1
we need to go to Archer.
Oh.
Archer's being held up by traffic, and look at Thunhorst. Uses a pick and streams by on the backstretch. Archer almost gets into him, slides off into the grass, keeps it out of the Armco, but has to take to the shortcut. And behind him, Bob Beltrami slides off in sympathy. And actually causes a bit of chaos as Trossel has to avoid him, but let's watch this replay first. Beautiful strategic move here, Dawson.
Yeah, it worked out in his favor. You can use the other cars around you, and well done.
And then let's go back to Beltrami right now, and you can see what happens.
Here he's back around, yeah. And he's going to slide back onto the track, and the car behind, unfortunately,
and that's Trossel.
That's a change of pants for Trossel.
Yeah.
Lucky he managed to get the car to steer in the kitty litter we're watching from on board. Car returns to track right when you don't want it. So we come back live.
The situation like that, who's it scarier for, a car coming at you, or you just sitting there kind of innocently?
It's only scary after you see that car stream by, and then you feel more embarrassed.
Oh.
At least I do. I feel a little bad if I pull out on track when I know I shouldn't have, or should have known I shouldn't have.
So Vavrovsky gaining about a second per
8
lap.
laps to go at 6 seconds gap.
It's right there.
Bill, there's that old racing adage. It's one thing to catch a car. It's another to pass him.
That's not the adage. The adage is it's like milking a rooster. The hard part starts after you catch him.
That's your adage.
Oh, okay. When I hear somebody say that on a real network broadcast, I am retiring from GSRC. It's going to happen.
Maybe you should tweet at Darrell Waltrip for that one.
Let's go to Mike Taylor. Just blew an engine. Mike, we haven't given a lot of run for him. He's blew it.
I don't think that's the way he wanted us to give him attention on this broadcast, but as we see on the replay, with just 8 laps to go, that's got to be disappointing.
Yep.
Now, where is this? Up the hill. Oh, it slipped off. Oh, wait. Did he blow it earlier than on that? So he had damage before that, and the engine may have been overheating on the lead up to that blow-up. Didn't think you could blow the engine shifting up in these cars.
Now
we're looking at the leader. Yeah, hang on. This is the leader making a pass here on Baval. As soon as he gets done with Baval, the next car in front of him will be Grandin.
Yeah, and Vavrovsky was catching Thompson there, and Thompson let him go on the front stretch. A nice move as well.
Interval to Cornett, 3.7 seconds. Well, 7 laps to go. Done deal.
The reason I'm still kind of wondering if this is going to be a podium for Vavrovsky, it took some very clever racing from Thunhorst to get past Archer. He seemed to struggle there, Bill, so I don't... Even if Vavrovsky catches him, I'm not sure if he can get by decisively.
Well, talking about Thunhorst, let's go to that 6th position because while he was trying to move up, he's got Slavonic now come up behind him. Slavonic has 5 laps fresher tires. And I think that Paul's going to be able to get this done here.
Now talking about Vavrovsky making that pass decisively, I think he's going to be at the point where I think moving him might be an option for Trevor. I wouldn't be surprised.
Now, the question is, are the stewards going to like him moving another car?
Yeah, I know how Trevor races. I've raced with him enough, and moving you is definitely an option in his book. So we'll see how much of a fight Cornette puts up. I would think he would.
How about some credit for Cornette? We really haven't given him enough of it, I feel like. This is going to be a great podium for him. Started in third, but has really just run mostly quietly, held off a group of cars that were behind him in the first stint.
And I think that has to do with his strategy. He picked kind of the more subtle strategy, the 2-stop versus a 3-stop, and I didn't think this 2-stop would be this doing this well.
All right, Vavrovsky has him in his sights. You can see both cars in the same picture now. It's under 2 seconds. 6 laps to go, and Vavrovsky is still hanging it out, getting sideways through the corners. Now down to 5 laps to go.
Vavrovsky's still putting down great lap times. He's been putting down about 13.3s for the last how many laps?
Partridge.
You heard what I heard, Bill. Was not happy with Thomas Lovelady, it sounds like.
Thanks for showing your nose at the very end, is what he said there.
Lovelady didn't show it at the end.
Nope. Partridge is just mad. Partridge got scared off the track.
You're going to see on the replay here. Yeah, see, look, he pops out halfway down the straight. I'm going to side with Lovelady on that one.
Yep, I would too.
Ooh, wow, some serious hair for that Dog Bear Racing red number 88.
I understand where Partridge is coming from, though. It's been a long... He's put in 85 laps, and he just bottled it into the wall there with 5 to go.
All right, Vavrovsky now within half a second, and here's lap traffic. David Baker, Wayne Hutchison, and Rob Gall all right in front of third place Cornette.
What Cornette has to do is get right along Baker and then slow down and just keep it too wide all the way for the last 4 laps.
I don't know about that strategy, but looks like the strategy of Baker is to get out of the way. Is that a pass for position ahead of them? Rob Gall with Wayne Hutchison moving it, and it was a pass for position. They've even got Claude Belval up ahead. Go ahead.
Vavrovsky to a 13.8. Lost a couple tenths there.
I have to keep our eyes on Grandin, who could be going a lap down as Reynolds is getting close to putting the entire field 1 lap down from himself. Vavrovsky, once again, loses that time that he had just gained on the number 08.
I know we have 31 drivers in the field, but it seems like Vavrovsky has been the show all by himself today.
It's been he's driving the wheels off that car, literally. Wow, he's done a great job up to this point.
Does Vavrovsky stream his races with an onboard by any chance?
No, I don't think so.
He should.
We might. Yeah. Oh man. I think he's actually the one. When in TeamSpeak, he has the voice activation, and you'll just hear him ripping a wheel back and forth, and you can hear the motor as he's right there.
Getting on top of Mitchell Cornette now, and Mitchell also being held up by lap traffic. Claude Belval, but they're in the S's instead of the backstretch, making it a lot harder for Vavrovsky to get a run. Now he does, coming off the final right-hander, looks to the left side, squeezes his way in there, gonna have to go the long way around, much stronger on the brakes on those fresher tires. Can he get it done in the inner loop? And he's got it.
Wow.
Great stuff from Trevor Vavrovsky. Bill, you called it right. He's onto the podium, but he's got to hold on to it now.
Let's go to the leader, and there goes Blake Reynolds by Grandin.
Looking more like an old school.
Oh, look at that.
Grandin's coming in.
I thought it was a long run.
3 laps to go. Where's Vavrovsky? Vavrovsky is going to get this spot.
Done deal.
And Cornette's going to move back into third. What about Trevor Clement?
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah,
and a pass
Vavrovsky.
back. Looks to the inside, down into the 90, but almost gets into Belval. Turns Belval. And Vavrovsky has the speed, gets the spot back. Belval into the wall. And Cornet looking shaky. That's Thompson, the yellow car, getting a lap back from Cornet. Let's look at the replay. I mean, I don't really blame Cornet. He had to get deep into there. On the replay.
If he doesn't let off there, he doesn't have a shot at Vavrovsky, but he ends up doing the dirty work for Vavrovsky and clearing out the lap traffic.
That keeps Vavrovsky in second. And the Canadian, understandably upset, getting on the radio. Actually, I'm surprised he hasn't called to the stewards yet.
Grandin has come back out as the white flag is flying. Grandin has come back out in 5th. About 3 seconds to get to Clement, but Grandin didn't take tires. This is splash and go.
Sad to see. Oh, and Thunderhorst with an off there on screen. He is still in 7th. Did he give that up to Slavonic, or did Slavonic take that before the off? Well, he took that with the off, so Slavonic taking advantage of the mistake, getting into 6th. Meanwhile, let's jump to our leader coming up on his ride-in shotgun teammate, Mike Franklin. And
The director makes it. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, director makes the point that technically Blake has already won the race, but we're going to call it anyways because Reynolds weaving on the track now. He knows what he's done. Celebrating. This will be win number 4, the first win that Blake Reynolds has done in the same car this season. The 3 previous ones have all been in different machinery as he Tokyo drifts it through the final corner with style. The number 67 wins here at Watkins Glen. Vavrovsky with a gutsy drive to get himself into second. And then Mitchell Cornet couldn't hold him off, but he takes a podium anyways.
Clement gets 4th position. Grandin, after making that splash and go, going to get a top 5. Slavonic and Thunhorst behind them.
Disappointment for Grandin, though. Slavonic with a nice run to 6. How about mover of the race, Matthew Thunhorst, 19th to 7th.
Wow.
Archer gets himself in 8th after his front tires decided they didn't want to turn anymore for half the race. Brandon Trossel with a 9th, and Josh Wolf still manages to round out the top 10.
Yeah, his car just a little dirty.
And that's going to finish up pretty much all of our cars on the, not lead lap, but 1 lap down as Mike Franklin is going to complete things here in 12th place. We're going to take a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results while the number 67 burns it down. Stick around because we'll have driver interviews as well as all the upcoming races here on your screen.
Fuel usage.
Averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons. Change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons. Changing right side tires.
Welcome back to the iAnalyze Racing.com 355 at the Glen. Here at Watkins Glen, it was a stomping. Blake Reynolds really showed everybody how to run around this course, lapping the entire field in round 10 of the Pacific Majors. And we've actually, I think we've broken our overlay because that 9 seconds is not correct. Vrosky finished in second, a whole lap down. Mitchell Cornett was third, rounding out the podium. Trevor Clement, whose name we're finally getting right, finishes in fourth. Brian Grandin comes home in the top 5. Paul Slavonic finishes in 6th with a decent run, with Matthew Thunhorse behind him in 7th. Clark Archer, struggling with the handling of that car all day long, finishes in 8th, with Brandon Trossel in 9th. And Josh Wolf Dawson rounds out our top 10.
Then in the 11th spot, Brian Barnes. Mike Franklin getting in the 12th spot. We saw him get into a couple situations. Michael Thompson, the first car, 2 laps down. Then Wayne Hutchinson, Rob Gall, Mark Herzog, Claude Belval in 17th. Chris Pence, 18th. Thomas Lovelady, we saw him in a couple incidents as well. And Brian Bennett, who was running well, rounds out your top 20.
In 21st position, what's interesting, most of these drivers are up spots here. Beltrami, 26th to 21st. Ray Partridge lost a couple, 20th to 22nd, but here's another guy moving forward. Picking up 8 spots was David Baker. Jared Morgan picked up a spot to finish 24th. Adam Young picked up 4 spots to finish in 25th, as did William Fletcher, a spot into 26th. 3 spots to the good was Dee Palmer, who came home in 27th. Then you get to some guys who weren't quite as lucky. Chad Barker in 28th position, we lost 11 positions. Mike Taylor, Travis Henderson, and rounding out the field, he left early. Qualified 7th, going to finish in 31st. Little Train, Lionel Kalisto, your points leader.
We'll get an idea of what that does to his points after we figure out the drop weeks and get you updated next round. But in the meantime, we want to talk to our winner, Blake Reynolds, and see how it felt not only having his 4th win, but doing it in style by lapping the entire field. Blake, was there ever anything interesting going on in your race?
Well, it was fun lapping cars, I guess. It was just kind of cruising around. Man, we really hit the setup really good this week. Just really, I put in a ton of laps in all conditions. I was just trying to really, hit. Sorry, I'm really tired. That was a really stressful race. Even just cruising, man, that's stressful. Just driving that car and that track, full distance race, whole 355. It was incredible. But yeah, we really just hit the mark, I guess.
From our perspective, you certainly made it look easy. Where does this rank among your wins so far in the Pacific Majors? Because you've racked up quite a few at this point.
Well, this car, I going into every race with this car. I drive this car on occasion officially. So, well, not on occasion, just I run it all the time. So I expect to run well. This isn't really ranked very high. It wasn't really that tough of a race. Well, I don't want to say tough, but yeah. But probably the Rolex this year. I never expected to win that one. That was a tough one to win, and the fact that no other prototypes were on the podium there, it was all GTs. So that was a nice win. But this goes up there. This is probably 3rd.
Certainly, that one set you on course to challenge for the championship. However, you've now missed 3 races, which is going to make it difficult. Are you still thinking about that Mario Andretti's Cup, or is that out of your mind with the setback that that 0 causes you?
Well, going into the season, yeah, that was my main goal. I didn't expect to miss the past few rounds. The dirt round I knew I was going to miss. I went to Pensacola for vacation. Really cool. I went to Five Flags too. But I missed that race too this year, so fortunately. Yeah, and then Le Mans was just, I didn't meet the requirement as far as lap count. I was really busy that week, just as far as other series and trying to get laps in. But yeah, that Mario Andretti's Driver Championship, that's the main goal. It's a really cool trophy I've seen, and it'd be a cool one to have on my shelf.
Well, sounds like then you'll still be having a go at it, and we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. And again, congratulations on what is a dominant win, putting it lightly.
Thanks, Joe.
That was Blake Reynolds, winner here today, number 4 for him this season. Only driver to have won multiple ones this season, I believe. I'm looking at the stats real quick to make sure I'm correct on that, and that looks to be right. Next up, we do have second place finisher Dawson is going to be talking to an old pal of his, Trevor Vovrosky, who ran quite a whale of a race to get up to that position.
All right, Trevor, you said it's your turn to be in the booth, so what do you got? That race, that was really interesting. It was fun to watch. We saw you left and right, car left and right, everywhere. It's a quick rundown of what was going through your head there.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm going to take this home as a win. As far as the normal people are concerned, as far as all the races that Blake could have missed, it was just wanted it to be this one. This is the race that I circle on my calendar every year, and it's awesome to finish kind of best of the rest. But at the same time, man, that's a lot of work, and I'm exhausted.
Well, you didn't even have to run 90 laps like Blake did. You only had to run 89. It seemed like it maybe one less lap, but yeah, he was definitely on a different level. But I still think you were driving that car even more. I saw hands going back left and right, and I was worried you weren't going to have enough tires. I predicted you for third, but Bill, he trusted you, and you were able to get the job done. Were you worried about tires? How big of a problem was that?
Strategy was huge. It was pretty much everything throughout the race. I decided to go for the short pit strategy and stretch it out one more stop, and it was obviously very close there to the last couple laps of the race. Almost being a lap down cost me being able to get around Cornette, but he ran hard, and it was very interesting, and had a couple people doing some weird different strategies. Like I know Brian was catching me heavily at times, but then just kind of like decided not to pit towards the end. So I don't know what happened there. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that. But all in all, I think we ran the best race we possibly could, given the circumstances, and I can be happy with a second here.
Well, definitely. It was a great race for you. You put on a show for us. We were all, I was just sitting there watching your car, waiting for something to happen, and a lot of stuff did happen. So good luck for you the rest of the season. Hopefully you can get you're running for the Bigfoot trophy, isn't it? Yeah, you should be right up there with them. Good luck with that.
Yep, I got my teammate to try and beat in that, so hopefully I can catch up to Josh.
All right, that's Trevor Vovrosky, your P2 finisher. I believe we're going to have Bill bring in Jared Morgan.
I do. I'm going to talk to Jared. I don't often get a chance to talk to, well, a fellow backmarker, but I say that with affection and a smile as I put my hand around his shoulder. We took 24th today, started 25th, picked up a spot. You happy with that?
Yeah, I am.
You brought it home. Hey, here's the good news. The bad news is you didn't finish on the lead lap, but you weren't alone in that case.
Well, when you have Blake Reynolds booting us like he did, I mean, you don't expect to finish on the lead lap to him anymore.
So you two-stopped it. Was that always your strategy?
Well, as soon as I figured out that I could make almost exactly 30 laps, yeah, I decided to save fuel the last 2 stints, and it turns out I was about 5 laps to the good.
Yeah, I saw that you got up to about 20th. You fell back a little bit. Any close calls with some of the leaders going by you?
Just once, and that was when Slavonic and I think it was Clement went around me here. They were fighting for 6th and 7th. Just almost got the right recorder of Slavonic as he went by me.
Now, how did it play out? Were you ever in a situation where you had fresh tires and all of a sudden you get to come up on some of the big names and you find out you're faster than them, but they don't always let you by, do they?
I didn't even challenge them.
Smart man, because they were not enjoying that. Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself. We haven't had you in for many interviews. Where are you from? How old are you? What's your home life like?
I'm 25. I'm from Roseburg, Oregon. I've been running. This is my actual 10-year anniversary. This race in SimRacing. So this has actually been a fun run.
What's the weather like up there right now? A little chilly?
Somewhere in the 90s, humid.
Oh, that's good for Oregon. Well, congratulations on bringing it home cleanly. I looked for you in the points. I was going through here. I didn't see you in the points. Are you close on any of the What club you race? Oh, you must be running in the Northwest Club then, huh?
Affirmative, Northwest Club. Before we went into this race, I was ninth in the sportsman points. I was 2 points out of Scott Gruber, so I think I just got around him.
Well, you can hang your hat on this one. Looks like you're going to be part of the championship club there. It looks like Northwest going to bring home another championship. So you may not get the win today, but you get yourself a share of the championship.
I'm just going for a top 8 in points at this point. If I can get me in the top 5, I'll be ecstatic.
All right, give us something to look for. Congratulations on the job. Good luck down the rest of the way, Jared.
Thank you, brother.
Jared Morgan, 24th today. Looking to get onto the top 5 in that Northwest Club, Joe.
Up next, just outside of the podium, is Trevor Clement, who finished 4th, but he might still be happy with that since he climbed all the way from 10th place on the grid. Trevor, we saw a variety of strategies out there today between drivers. Did you know what you were going to do going in, or did you just decide to kind of take it as it came?
No, I had planned on doing 2 stops. In practice, I had kind of done the math on 3 stops and 2 stops, and it seemed pretty similar time-wise. So I just decided to go with 2 stops and try to stay out of traffic as best as I could.
Now, we had a couple drivers go to the stewards about you a little bit earlier on. I believe it was it Henderson that you had a little bit of contact with in the inner loop. What was your take on that incident?
I had fresher tires in Henderson, and when we were coming up to the bus stop, I went inside, and I was waiting to see if he would brake or not. If he didn't brake early, I wasn't going to go for it, but he did. So I went inside, and I don't know if I just went a little too shallow, or if maybe he didn't brake enough to clear me. I'm not really sure till I see it, but ended up making a little contact, and obviously he got the worst of it, he felt.
Now, I was saying that you might be happy with the 4th place. How are your feelings on your performance today? It seemed like there were a lot of guys moving up and down the order at what is a very unique combination. Do you think you performed as well as you could?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with it. I qualified 10th, and I just tried to survive. The early on, these cars are really tough in traffic. You have to be patient, and you have to be aware of around you. So, I just went in there with the mindset to survive for 90 laps and finish where that leaves me. And today it left me 4th. So yeah, I'm happy.
Well, we hope that maybe you can move one more step up and get onto the podium next time. But again, congratulations on that 4th.
Right on. Thanks, guys.
We have one more to do today. I believe another pal, actually, interestingly enough, of Dawson Brock is Josh Wolf, who managed to top 10 today, but is certainly not a perfect race. Dawson?
Yeah, Josh, you had a little bit of issues early on, and then a little issues in the end. Just didn't seem to work out for you. What happened? You didn't run to, I think, your top ceiling. What was going on?
I wanted to apologize to Lionel. Just kind of missed my mark just a little bit and locked up the front tires and got into him. So I'm just wanted to say sorry for that. Yeah, it was just it was a long race. A little sore. I got about halfway through the first stint. I just started to get really sore. I've been running a lot of 6-hour races this weekend, and I think that kind of hurt and also might have influence that lockup. Definitely no DP, so definitely just trying to get back used to this and from all that racing, just kind of tired.
Yeah, I know we were talking about that for a little bit and how we were so used to running that 6 hours, and now you got to come into a cup car, and this car is really easy to miss that mark like you did on Lionel and just kind of overshoot it. This car, it takes a lot of finesse to drive, and I mean, it's also tough to set up. How do you prepare for something like that?
We've been spending a lot of time before this even came up, knowing that the 6 hours was happening. We struggled the entire week trying to find a front turn in the car, and just never really got there. It was definitely a difficult car to set up, and definitely wish there were a little more adjustability in this car than kind of what we're given for a road setup.
Yeah, well, next week you're going to have a lot more options to work with. You got the Formula One car. That should be a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that. Definitely going to be challenged trying to learn all the different things that are available to change on that car, but kind of looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to the challenge and see how we can do there.
Yeah, definitely. So it should be fun. We'll see you then.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Joshua Wolf to round out our interviews. So, Joe?
And yes, that's going to lead us into closing it out for today here at the Pacific Majors. Before we go, we want to thank one more time iAnalyzeRacing.com. Definitely go give them a look if you want to try and improve your speed out on track with all their analytical tools. Of course, thanks to Mike Willett for organizing the Pacific Majors and the team behind him for doing all the hard work to bring these things to air, especially George Wood, who we have to give a shout out to. He's been the steward mostly this year, which is a bit of a thankless job out there. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Amjad, Bill, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. The next race, boy, you talk about a change of pace. It's Spa and the McLaren F1 car. That's going to be interesting. That'll be Sunday, August 27th at 7:45 p.m. Eastern, so later this month. We'll also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.